Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Good evening, folks. I just left another Black Lives Matter meeting. I'm gonna have to do some research on who founded them and who's funding them, because it's very, very, very peculiar to me that all of a sudden all these reoccurring events of cop killings, white cops killing black cops, and so forth, all of a sudden this unheard of organization just moves in very swiftly and basically, and these are my words and this is my speculation, but hijacks this revolution. Now, I just left the meeting. Meeting was 2 hours. It was pipeline to prison. Now, I sat back and listened for the first hour and a half before I spoke. You know, I made a couple of statements that were in unison with some other statements that were made, but I didn't speak my mind. It was kind of a town hall, unofficial town hall setting. But, you know, I waited till the last hour and a half. They had a couple of very, very, very bright and intelligent black young students in the you know, at the organization. These young ladies were brilliant, and I hope they don't fall up under this delusion. But you know, these young ladies have been through some things. You know, they told their stories, and the underlying topic was getting cops out of the Cincinnati public schools, or I guess public schools abroad. I'm in Cincinnati, so this is this where you know, it was out of Cincinnati public schools. This was the thing. But now, I went to one other Black Lives Matter meeting, maybe 2 other, and I got a real bad feeling because, you know, if you're an organization, you got to be concerned with the meat on the bone. And a lot of people just kind of, speaking their part and so on and so forth, which is completely illogical. You cannot give complete and total autonomy to anything and anybody. So I haven't returned in a while. That was my first one when I came home. I had not returned to a Black Lives Matter meeting for a while, because everybody was just kind of speaking their opinion, didn't really know what they were talking about. And just to sum up what I'm trying to say now, the same thing happened tonight. So I waited an hour and a half to speak, and I'm a little fired up. And everybody, you know, not everybody, but the people who chose to speak, they spoke their part, and everything was directed at the Cincinnati public schools, or public education in America as a whole, placing cops in the schools. And they had all they had some people there who were outraged, some suburban folks that have not experienced the struggle outside of them working in Cincinnati public schools to some degree and fashion. They did have one sister that was there who worked in Cincinnati public schools, and me and her were kind of on the same page. She basically said, these kids is out of control. So if y'all take the cops out of the schools, then what are we supposed to do? Fight the kids? You know, so nobody had anything to say. Now, she hit the nail right on the head. So when I waited to speak, I wanted to see, because, you know, I ain't nobody. I'm just a self-taught individual. And, you know, I had some experience, and I've drawn on my experience. And I try to, as y'all know, I try to share my experience to motivate people to, you know, not succumb to the hardship. So I didn't hear anything that was at all conducive to the matter, to the topic of pipeline to prison, and how the public education is projecting people into the prison system, which is happening. But they didn't get to the gist of it at all. None of them got to the gist of it. I'm talking about a lot of these people, they they went to college for 1,000,000 years and are still studying, and they still didn't get to the bottom of it. And my statement, because I know I didn't have a lot of time, I told everybody that basically what they said was that we're being the capitalist system is marginalizing minorities, which is true, but they made a true statement and gave it a false meaning. They basically said that the school system is the heart of all of the problems in the black and impoverished neighborhoods, and that is completely wrong. I explained to them, first thing that I told them is, I am not a college graduate. I am a convicted felon several times. All this stuff that y'all ever experienced, I ain't never seen it, or maybe had a glimpse of it. So I stressed to them that I'm not speaking from the outside in. Immediately, the facilitator started blinking, and I'm talking about, you know how the body language gets when they like want you to hurry up and shut up so they can pass the mic. But I kept talking. I'm talking about the entire time, her body language was, okay, wrap it up, just go ahead. And I probably only spoke for about 5 minutes. But I told them that the problem is, how are these drugs? I told them that 95% of the crime in the hood can be connected to drugs. Now, my question is, before I got these drugs in my hand, before I shot this dude and you arrested me for it, how and where to get here in the first place? So I told them that they wasting energy talking about some cops being inside of the school. It's a weak argument, and it's not going to fly with the authorities. Mind you, them who have the guns make the rules. So with these people trying to go up against an elaborately structured system, for them to say that the focal point should be having cops removed from Cincinnati public schools, me personally and honestly, I don't think that cops should have to be inside of schools, and the amount of policing we have in our neighborhoods shouldn't have to be that way. But we do live in a dangerous state right now, and I lived in a time where that predated all of this. All they had was security guards, and anybody who's close to 30 or over 30, they know, man, we fooled on the security guards. They couldn't stop us from doing what we was doing. I was expelled my sophomore year for bringing a knife to school. If I could have brought a gun, I had access to one, I would have did it. Now, had they not caught me and somebody not told on me and told them that I had a knife and I was planning on using it and all that, then I probably would have been in a lot more trouble than I had got into, or I probably would have harmed somebody's life for the rest of their life. I'm not saying that people need to go to prison, snitching, dry snitching, all this old crap. Check my stats. I ain't never been involved in none of that. Google me. Point being, they're throwing Black Lives Matter is one of two things. They are either completely delusional, which I find that hard because they are run and facilitated by highly educated individuals. Or the second thing, man, this is a federally funded organization conspired to give us our identity, just like the NAACP. These huge and large organizations, they see that black folks and impoverished folks, they see that we mad, they see that we didn't had enough, when they got hundreds of thousands of people marching in the streets saying that we want cops to stop shooting our kids, white cops to start shooting our kids, we want the drugs to come out the community. When we at all in one instance showed some unity, out of nowhere Black Lives Matter came. Where the hell was Black Lives Matter before all this stuff started happening? That's what I want to know. How come all of us now? I know that they probably are a product of the situation. It's a possibility. So tell me if excuse me, I'm trying to parallel park. But tell me if this is a true grassroots organization like how they sell themselves to be, why on earth are you worried about the security? All of these pundits, why are you worried about the security of the schools as opposed to worrying about what's causing the demand for the security in these schools? Please tell me that. How could this not so smart convicted felon still ain't had no education? Oh, I gotta fix my parking. Children, could one of y'all sweep this glass up right here? So please tell me how my uneducated self, my unsmart, don't know what I'm talking about self, can figure out that if, just using myself as an example, if you just use me, I got every reason for cops to harass me, lock me up, and whatever, may have you. And a lot of the people that they talk, what's up, bro? A lot of the people that they talking about ain't never been to prison, never seen a prison, don't know anybody that went to prison, any of this. Please tell me how I survived. I'm gonna give y'all the secret. And when I used to give the Thailand and the joint, and I used to talk to the brothers, and the brothers be like, man, the CO put a knife in my room. The CO did this. The brothers did that. The COs was targeting them. We living up under a magnifying glass. The situation out here is easy. I'm talking about you can look at a cop the wrong way, and next thing you know, come count time, he opening up your cell, both of y'all get naked. I think y'all got some weed in here. And just because he don't like the way you looked at him, he gonna shake your cell down, and he gonna put the weed in your cell and tell you that the weed was yours. The weed was yours. Now, how do you survive? How you survive this type of situation? Please tell me how you survive this. And I used to tell the brothers, good character. That's something I learned from Islam. I ain't learning from no rehabilitative program. I never went in my 9 years of prison. I never took a rehabilitative program. None. I didn't need any. I need to correct my heart. I need to correct my mentality, my thinking. I didn't need no some federally funded, which ain't nothing wrong with being federally funded, but you work for who you pay for. And if the people, how you gonna work for the same people who causing the problem in the first place? Or who's, excuse me, don't allow me to be a conspirator. How in the world you gonna solve you gonna be a part of the problem and the solution at the same time? These people are shooting people and locking us up at mass incarceration rates and all this stuff that we keep seeing as news headlines, and it's just news headlines, and ain't nobody coming down here talking about nothing. Ain't nobody coming to I ain't never seen Black Lives Matter over here. I ain't never seen them. They march in parks where it's safe at. They don't come here. They ain't connected to the people. They ain't connected to the people at all. So my point is, and please excuse me if I'm ranting, once one individual from the inside out was speaking and explaining to him what goes on in the mind of a criminal before they even catch the case. My point that I was trying to make to them, that I'm trying to make on this stream, is that, what's going on, big bro? My point that I was trying to make at this meeting, this so-called meeting that they was having on recidivism, is how in the world, and you tell me that cops being inside of the Cincinnati public schools is the problem. That's not the problem. The problem is the behavior. Now, I told the lady, she cut me off, and it was like, right, that's a part of the problem, and you're 100% correct, but we got to go over here. I was like, whoa. I'm talking about one, they had a teacher from Woodward. Man, I'm talking about this lady almost put me to sleep with her. Well, not so even sad story. A story wasn't even sad. She had a kid who was like me when he was in high school. He committed a crime. He's sitting inside of jail. May Allah help the young brother. But the jux of the story is you can put 1,000 police anywhere. You could put 1,000 police right here in Price Hill on the west side of Cincinnati. You could put 1,000 police right here on this street. As long as I don't commit a crime, they can't do nothing to me. If they do, well, y'all make dua for me, and I'm dead and I'm gone, and may Allah forgive me for all my sins. That's all you can do. But that worked. I'm talking about, y'all talking about an individual, myself. Y'all talking about an individual that I'm talking about since I was in 2nd grade, I was in trouble. Throwing stuff at teachers. I'm not listening. I'm going to punch the teacher. I'm going to punch all these students. And until somebody kill me, I ain't going to stop. This the individual that y'all talking to. I did that from 2nd grade all the way up till I was 21 years old when I was looking at 81 years inside a prison. So you talking to an individual who's actually an expert on all this talk. What changed me? What changed me? The simple fact that I said I'm going to govern myself. Now, we can't dump all the blame on the kids. But my point to them was that we have to look at, have a political voice, because as much drugs as I've seen and I've sold, and as much drugs that guys that I know that seen and sold, ain't not one of them got a boat. Not one of them got a boat. So where are these tons of drugs coming over here? And I know I'm not that smart. So please, y'all correct me if I'm wrong. How in the world are these tons and tons and tons of drugs getting inside of? They skipping Fairfield, Coleraine, and all these other suburban places. They skipping those areas, but they're coming exactly to the high crime, so-called black and impoverished areas. How? Please make that make sense. How in the world this dude who don't even speak English get across the border, a heavily militarized border? Y'all president talking about he gonna put a gazillion-dollar wall, and they got tunnels all up under the place. He talking about building a wall. This is the 52 fake out, y'all. He talking about building a wall, and it's tunnels. What you gonna do about the tunnels? Forget that wall. It's the 52 fake out. This is what Black Lives Matter doing. They doing the 52 fake out, man. Dead serious. They wanted the whole entire time. I was actually surprised that they wanted to talk about police being inside of Cincinnati public schools. And you know, you had all these nesters. They were like, I cannot believe that this child was restrained and taken to 2020. I just got my child out of 2020 last week. So y'all were literally preaching to the choir. Damn, they know they've seen stories and news headlines, and they coming and talking about this stuff. You can't fix the problem. You don't even know what the problem is for you to be able to fix it, first and foremost. So when I spoke, the lady shut me down. Another lady came and tried to correct my point. And then when I tried to, intervene, it was like, hold on, time out. That's not what I was saying. She raised her voice, and I got the point that, I should shut up at this point in time. But my point is, I don't care how many Cincinnati police go into the public school system. If we take a firmer approach in our parenting and our roles inside of society, stop being scared to say what's right and what's wrong, stop being scared to teach other kids, parent other kids, be there for the other kids. Teach them. When you see them out in the middle of the street and they doing wrong, you say, I stop them. I tell them, I say, hey, little bro, what you doing? And they be like, oh, nothing. One little boy, I pull up to the rec center around the corner, and then one little boy had a little gun, a little fake little BB gun or whatever, and all the cars that I was driving past, he's shooting at all the. I've probably seen 4 or 5 people walk past, and them 4 or 5 people that walk past, grown-ups, they didn't say anything because they didn't want to say that to somebody's child. Man, please, I pulled right up on little dude, like, man, what are you doing? I told him about Tamir Rice. And he was like, I was like, you know who Tamir Rice is? He was like, no. I was like, all right, Tamir Rice is doing less than what you doing. He was pointing the guns right at people's window and everything. I told him, I said, Tamir Rice did less than what you did, and some cops pulled up, jumped out and shot him for real. I swear to you by Allah, wallahi, 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 he took that gun and he threw it in the garbage. And then I talked to him and I told him what kind of danger he's in, and he don't want to put that type of persona out here to be perceived, and you know what type of struggle he's up against as a young black man. I had to step in, and I did take the risk of his daddy, you know, getting mad at me and probably saying, man, you don't parent my kids, and you know, whatever the case may be. If he got mad at me, he could have punched me in the face, we could have fought about it, and he didn't figure out I was right afterwards. He probably would have thanked me. But this is what we have to do. You got to be boots on the ground, and it's very frustrating to attend all these official forums and meetings and talks and stuff, and we don't have any boots on the ground. These people talking about marching inside of parks. Everybody in the hood gonna be looking at them like, man, them people crazy. And I told them that they was one of the facilitators made the statement that kids are being criminalized and you know, all this type of stuff. And and she said that this is not happening in suburban schools, and I guarantee you that if a kid in a suburban school had done the same thing, they're going to be counseled. The community is going to step in. You right, but the only time you hear about guns in suburban schools is when it's a mass shooting. Kids in the hood, they gotta have a gun with them, point blank and period. But I told them before they even a student, forget them schools, man. Before they are even a student, they got to walk down streets like this, man. That big red building right there, that's a liquor store, man. That's a liquor store. Look at all these, y'all know, y'all see them? Them some of my kids back there. Look at all these kids back here playing by a liquor store. They be shooting out here and stuff all the time. So it's a psychology that's developed that I'm not finna be the one that's killed. I'm not finna be the one that get punched in the face today. I'm not finna be the one that's gonna get my shoes took today. You gotta learn that before you learn 2 + 2 is 5. So it ain't got nothing to do with them schools, because when we was in prison, we had the worst facilities, the worst of this, the worst of that. And I used to teach the brothers. In Islam, character is stressed. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told us that he was sent to perfect character. For me, as a person that come from the environment that I come from, and experienced the things that I experienced, that stood out to me. That struck me. That told me, I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and try to do the right thing. And for one time, out of 21 years of living, for one time, in 9 years that I was in prison straight, I only went to the hole twice, and it was my fault because I compromised my principles. As a matter of fact, I went to prison 3 times. They said I had a year before I got out. They said I had too much influence, and that they feared that something was going to happen on the prison. So they just rolled me out of the prison where I didn't have any community or social support. So I guess I don't count that one because, you know, I was a political prisoner at that time. But for that entire time, I had 2 fights that I went to the hole for, and both times I could have practiced the morals and principles and guidelines that my deen, I know y'all hate the word religion, but I'm gonna say my deen. In Islam, it's called deen. It's called an account that my account taught me. When I was in the wrong setting in the first place, so I put myself around the wrong type of people, whatever that is. Somebody said something I didn't say. My job was to not say something. Or the Quran, the Holy Quran, it says that when somebody responds to you with ignorance, you return peace to them. You say something good. You put water on the fire. I ain't do that. I put some sticks in that fire with some gas too. So it was my fault. But had I followed my guidelines and my principles, I would have been cool. But in 9 years, I got in no trouble. And on top of that, I taught my peers. I was an example to my peers. I learned things. I put my brain to man, the whole entire time I was in school. How many years we go to school, y'all? I don't even know how many years it is. What is it? 17, 16, 18 years or whatever? I ain't learned nothing. That's why I went in the streets. I could have learned something. And not to say that everybody that goes in public schools, Cincinnati public schools or whatever, ain't going to learn something. But I didn't. I was distracted by a whole lot of stuff. I didn't start learning until I got to prison. I didn't learn grammar, English grammar, I learned another language when I was inside of prison. I corrected my behavior when I was inside of prison. So case in point is that it has nothing to do with cops being present in there. And if you ever attend a Black Lives Matter meeting or a town hall communion or anything, do not let them hit you with the 52 fake out. Don't do it. That's all they wanted to talk. Yes.
I parked where I parked at because it was glass there.
Okay.
You go right over the glass.
Thank you.
But when you pull out, you might not want to pull backwards because it's behind your back tire.
Thank you, sis. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Y'all get that glass up yet?
No, it's still kind of high up.
What's that? What happened? I thought they were going to get the glass. Oh, I mean, it's like a million of y'all. How come ain't one person did it? Well, y'all figure it out before y'all don't have a vehicle for me to drive y'all to the park in or whatever. Anyway, if we as parents take our responsibilities and teach our kids the proper character, how to behave inside of society, get involved inside of society, go to these Board of Education meetings and tell them, nah, we're not doing that. And if y'all do that, then we're going to take our kids out of these schools and bankrupt their whole entire system. This is what we're supposed to be talking about. Not talking about taking cops out. Because you know what? That's a weak argument, and I believe it's the 52 fake out. And they didn't want me to continue to say the things that I'm saying to y'all. Is because, first and foremost, you cannot win because security is number one. We'll talk about the rest later. Just like if they say we have an active shooter, they're going to pop him. And then they're going to give him his rights. They're not going to say, hey, sir, we appreciate it if you stop blowing people's heads off in the mall. We'll appreciate that. They're not going to say that. They're going to pop dude. They're going to, what they call it, neutralize the target. And then they might carry through with some of the rights. They might carry through with some of the rights. So this is the same paradigm that they're using against our kids that are living inside of impoverished neighborhoods like you see right now. These conditions make people behave in ways that are abnormal to what is known to be a human. Why is that? Let's have a town hall meeting about that. If you're in Black Lives Matter, go take that back to the board and say, listen, I was listening to a brother's Abdul Kabir Muhammad's live stream, and he made a good point, and we need to talk about the people and the problem. Because the problem is, because right now, the Cincinnati public schools or the public schools, ain't no cops there right now. Why? Because there are no people there. So that means that there's something wrong inside with the people. If there's something wrong with the people, there's something wrong with the society that is producing these people. This is what we need to be talking about, not taking cops out of the school, because the first thing that the city is going to respond to is, well, that kid that you're trying to defend, he shot somebody. That kid that you're trying to defend, I caught him with some heroin. The kid that you're trying to defend, he's in a gang. This is what they're going to tell you. And all this little, pretty nice talk and all this emotional, soft power stuff they keep talking about, it really frustrates me because we've been enduring these conditions, man, the whole entire time that I've been alive. And I return home from a decade in prison, from a broken society to a shattered society. Society is shattered now. And I'm watching my children go through the same thing that I went through. And a lot of times when they get in trouble, and they get in a lot of trouble, when they get in trouble, I can't punish them. I punish them because they know what I expect of them. But beyond that, I can't punish them because they're growing up in a broken system. Talk about that. Don't waste anybody's time. Don't waste anybody's resources, and don't occupy anybody's mind with these 52 fake outs. I'm sick of all these 501c3s just trying to collect a check so they ain't got to work a hard 9-to-5 job like myself. You want to get all these people inside of the room and you want to talk their heads off about nothing. Black Lives Matter, please come to Price Hill. Please come to Price Hill and walk down the street. I guarantee you I ain't going to let nobody do nothing to you. They ain't going to do that. They're going to keep being inside of these community centers and inside of the parks where they can get a lot of people involved. They get people to sign up and be volunteers so they don't have to do the work themselves. Them people supposed to be getting paid. They doing all this marching. They doing all this work. And they getting all these federal grants and all this stuff. So that's my Monday rant. It came a little late. But I just wanted to put something on your mind. And I hate insincerity. And I feel like there are some very insincere elements inside of this Black Lives Matter so-called movement. I cannot, nor can we allow organizations like that to hijack the evolution. We cannot allow them to do it. The NAACP did it in the 60s when the Black Panthers, the Nation, a lot of the other strong black movements, when they would stop looking from without and start going from within. Next thing you know, here comes the federally funded NAACP, and one thing after another, the founding principles disappeared. They're not even there no more. People can't even look at what the founding principles of that place are. Okay, I'm wrong. Let's just say that I'm wrong. Then why has the NAACP existed for so long and nothing has been accomplished? Matter of fact, stuff got worse. The feds is behind this stuff. Say, okay, the people want a revolution. We're going to give them a revolution. They create Black Lives Matter. They got an elaborate power structure, and they send money down, and they get a whole bunch of people who think that they're helping because they're passionate. Man, don't nobody care about your passion, man. People dying out here every single day. People losing their life inside of prison for trying to survive on a daily basis in conditions that are created. Period. So I'm done ranting. If I said anything wrong, it was my ignorance. It was not the ignorance of Allah and His messenger, nor did it come out of His perfect book. My brother Kenneth Brooks is on here. What did he say? He said the problem is systematic. Myself and some of the brothers on the job are trying to come up with some things for our community. Put me in on it. Put me in on it, man. I know you're a free mind. And you know, and we theoretically disagree on some things, but that doesn't matter. We agree on humanity. We agree on equity, equality, justice. And I go for anybody else that's watching this, or that might watch this. Hit me up. All I do is just community stuff. Because sooner or later, things got to get better, and it's getting worse before it's getting better. But I'm going to get off here. It's time for me to go pray. Praying is governing yourself. If you busy praying, you can't be out here doing all the stuff that's destroying community, which is destroying lives. أقول قولي وهذا وأستغفر الله ولا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله. Thank y'all for tuning in. I'll see y'all on the next go round. Y'all have a good night. Think about something positive and contemplate on what you're going to contribute to the struggle. And if you ain't part of the solution, you're part of the problem. Flat out. Assalamu alaikum.